Welcome to my discussion series in which I plan to go over in relative detail of series of works of fiction I find to be worthy of talking about. Today's installment will be on the vastly popular manga and anime series by the name of One Piece, written by Ichiro Oda. The story is about a freedom-seeking pirate by the name of Monkey D. Luffy, whose dream is to become the king of the pirates, succeeding the previous one, Gold Roger, who died 22 years prior to the start of the series. Following this lanky, straw hat wearing pirate, he recruits crewmates along the way with devastating backstory and amazing lore. Where the series diverts from all things normal, it introduces the audience a form of superpowers and abilities through the devil fruits, that upon their users eating them will gain a special form of power that will fabricate in one of the three categories that can deviate into further subcategories. Such vividly beautiful landscapes, buildings, and species. With the likes of an early island being Logtown, we find it to be fairly small and a popular destination due to it being the birthplace and dying place of the legendary pirate king, Gold Roger. The buildings are rather simple, reflecting that despite how infamous this Roger was, he was still a person born in a rather normal town. But from whence the main character delved past Logtown, we discover that there are devastating landscapes and bizarre weather to come from the place they seek, which is the Grand Line, a place in the ocean that is deemed a pirate's graveyard, and should only be ventured by those strong-willed and physically capable, because many who are unprepared will be destroyed by the ever-changing weather and islands are full of danger. To explain the Grand Line more, it is a section of ocean contained within what is known as the Cam Belts, two other sections of ocean that have no ocean currents nor winds blowing. Known to nest large amongst the sea kings, creatures that vary in size but are deemed immensely dangerous for any sea vassal. They can be as big as mountains if encountering them at the wrong time. This makes the Grand Line virtually unattainable, except from one minute way to get in: the Reverse Mountain. Before I describe this one-way entrance to the Grand Line, I must expand on the four main oceans. The reader or watcher, learns of it first. The audience knows the main characters reside in the East Blue, a pivotal and rather peaceful by comparison to the Grand Line location. Through lore, it is told that it is the weakest sea, and the four other blues, west, south, and north, are considered stronger due to their bounties. What's this? Even more to learn about to understand the lore? Boy, are you in for a ride. We learn of bounties through many antagonists, with the East Blue averaging at bounties around 3 million berries, and a remarkable bounty being around 10 million berries, which is the in-universe currency, and if we were to try and calculate how much this average of 3 million was to, let's say, sterling from yen, it would come out at roughly 22.3 thousand pounds. These bounties are given to the enemies of the government, which typically are stapled as pirates. However, mountain bandits can be given these bounties if required, and there's more that individuals to consider, such as revolutionaries, which I will touch on later, when I arrive at the government section of this video. All four seas are separated via the Cam Belts and the Red Line. The Red Line is known as the only continent in the One Piece world. It surfaces around the entire Prime Meridian, only having openings through Reverse Mountain and under it. It is extremely durable and will not break to anything known in the series so far, which leads to the main character utilising Reverse Mountain, the place required for the Grand Line. It has these upward streams of water from all angles of the four blues, which ultimately lead back down into paradise, as some call the Grand Line. The Grand Line itself opens itself immensely dangerous, as was told in previous chapters and episodes, housing many dangerous foes and beasts. It debuts with a humongous mountain-sized whale that is covered in scars. This only adds on to the bizarre world of One Piece. Through this whale's caretaker, a character named Crocus, the protagonists receive a special type of navigation tool known as a log post. It is very unique in its nature, as normal compasses do not work in the Grand Line, as the magnetic waves are stir-crazy and require this tool to distinguish the waves from coming from a single distinct island, which means it is entirely luck for which island you may land at out of the many as you move forward, towards the end of the Grand Line. Though there is an exception to this rule of random choice, as there exists an eternal pose, which its main purpose is to latch onto one island it has connected to and eternally stay pointed at it. Through travelling, we discover more factions of the world of One Piece, which I plan to delve upon. Pirates themselves are the most recurring and essential parts of the series. It is named after the greatest treasure by the Pirate King, a treasure left by him and foretold during his execution for any bold and brave alike to venture to find. This spurred a new pirate era as stated by many characters, the hunt for Laftel, the island which many believe to possess the One Piece treasure. Pirates, of course, receive bounties of varying prices, especially on the Grand Line, as the only most dangerous to travel there. The protagonist's bounty when arriving is a hearty 30 million, where else later in the series we discover pirates with bounties of 81 million to even the likes of 340 million, meaning these individuals pose a city or country level threat to the government and the Marines. As such, some pirates that gain such a reputation and level of strength can be assigned or recruited in certain factions. The Shichibukai, or in the English, the Royal Seven Warriors of the Sea, and even in some cases warlords, are recruited by the government to be their pirate lapdogs, being their powerful group of renegades considered one of the three great powers of the world. These pirates would have their bounties frozen unless they were to quit or be forced out of their position due to incompetency. Unlike the Shichibukai, there are named groups for pirates which describe their place in the world through implication, such as the Supernovas, or now known as the Worst Generation. A group of 12 pirates who have achieved bounties of 100 million or more in essentially their newbie days. But one of these 12 is not quite like the other. This particular pirate is famous for becoming a Yonko as of recent war. Blackbeard is a character who is ominous since introduced in chapter 223 or episode 146. A character who was perceived as supporting our protagonist in his dreams, only to find out he's another antagonist that schemes like no other in the series, with a powerful devil fruit and an even greater ambition that's executed through his plans of killing a Yonko and taking their devil fruit abilities and position of power. It is unheard of, let alone seen, a character who is able to use two devil fruit abilities because of the common knowledge spread saying that one who eats two devil fruits will die, yet Blackbeard is able to attain this power. We have yet to know why. To explain Yonkos further, there are a group of the four most notorious pirates after the late Pirate King that hold no connection to each other but undeniable strength and fleets of many underlings. Yonkos are unknown from their making, except speculation that the government or Marines decided that these individuals needed their own platform just to scale to the public. Their dangerousness and dread. The only conditions we know so far as to become a Yonko is for defeating or killing one, and becoming such a threat yourself that the general public will consider you so despite the government not condemning this. Despite being introduced rather early, Chapter 96 or Episode 45, these four powers didn't have their bounties revealed until recently, being Chapter 957, and it isn't a hyperbole to say that they are mountain sized in comparison to our protagonist's debut bounty of 30 million. On to the Marines, we have our opposing side to the pirates. They hunt, arrest, and even execute pirates if given enough of a reason. The Marines are introduced to the audience as a corrupt force of militaristic might that should make you root for the pirates, but soon you realise this isn't the case as multiple cases of either side being evil or corrupt comes up. Yet we find ourselves having no reason to dislike the likes of the Marine named Smoker, who when debuted had a young girl bump into his leg and spill her ice cream onto his leg. His reaction to this changed our perspective of what Marines can be and their true purpose. Smoker apologises to the girl in a very wholesome manner, paying for a replacement ice cream and then some, quoting, "Sorry about that, girl. Seems like my pants ate your ice cream." This sequence of events, which precede many other Marines before him, show that they may be corrupt, but there are truly good people out there to protect rather than destroy. Despite this, Smoker will still find himself hunting Monkey D. Luffy and wanting all pirates caught, who he himself will realise that there is change to be had within the Marines and the world government, as he participates in the War of Alabasta, which was actually orchestrated by a Shichibukai called Crocodile, which in turn is defeated by our protagonist. Smoker knows fully well who is responsible for saving the country from the tyrant Crocodile, a pirate. Yet the Marine officials who are above Smoker demanded he take credit for this escapade of defeating the rogue Shichibukai. As with pirates and Marines in reality, they have many ranks. They start from Chore Boy and ends all the way with Fleet Admiral, who are considered and implied to be on the level of a Yonko in terms of strength. Our good Marine Smoker is a captain, and yet 2 years later he finds himself at the rank of Vice Admiral, which rely on you being powerful, known throughout the Marines, and possessing unattainable powers of Haki, another power set aside from Devil Fruits that will be discussed in another video. Under Fleet Admirals we have Admirals, which they are also powerful assets to the Marines, yet you can find just as powerful individuals in the Vice Admiral position, meaning it can be decided in want for the position alongside cost of freedom. So they work more on paperwork, they're more situated for big situations and wars. But as another character named Monkey D. Garp has stated, believing he can do his job just as fine as a Vice Admiral without having his freedom cut off, much like his grandson, Monkey D. Luffy, much to his avail, has a relative be a part of the thing he tried to destroy. The world government was formed 800 years ago prior to the current story and houses way more corrupt individuals in power than the Marines could ever, with a cypherpole faction that focuses on espionage, and its hidden cypherpole CP9 that focuses on assassination and acquirement of very important information and documents. Celestial dragons are also a part of this equation as corrupt because of their protection and sanctity given by all. Even pirates fear to hurt or come into contact with these guys due to their lineage and the possible endangerment of an admiral appearing. This is a set condition for if a celestial dragon that leaves the red line base location of Mary Joa is attacked. We witness this through the admiral named Kizaru, who with the power of the Glint fruit wields flight and becomes light itself, will attack all in the way of a celestial dragon. Who are these celestial dragons? Well, they were world nobles who descended from the 19 of the 20 kings who are known for creating the world government, in essence equivalent to royal beings, and inheriting a horrible sense of entitlement for their predecessors' success. We learn that they're very cruel, enslaving all races, discriminate against all non-celestial dragons, and demand that everyone stop for their benefit and entertainment. In Mary Joa, we have the 5 elders who fall under the same faction as the world nobles and seemingly control the world. Through independent discussion with each other, however, we discover something even darker beyond the public and possibly even the Marines, hidden deep within Mary Joa, even we don't know much of anything about. The world government holds something known as a reverie. It is held every 4 years and consists of 50 of the world's leaders out of the over 170 nations in conjunction with the world government. This event happens for the benefit of these leaders' countries. They think if they come, they might cause change through debate. But as the viewer or reader, we might believe that this is all a sham just to make them think they have a choice over whatever decision the 5 elders have. To become a world affiliate, you must pay them a large sum of treasure or money, known as the heavenly tribute, as a way to join. If you do not do this and stay isolated, there could be implications of difficulty and possibly something gruesome, since even kingdoms and countries that are way too poor to fully afford the tribute will still try their hardest to achieve being affiliated. Such as isolated countries might be attacked heavily by pirates, and the Marines won't help them. The world government, through some occasions, have proven to be terrified of the century that preceded their unification, wanting to maintain this void century, a complete secret that any research is to be punished by even death, and as we have seen, the extermination of an island through a method called the Buster Call, which marine warships are sent out to cause the destruction of an island by bombarding it with their cannons. This fact only furthers how corrupt this government is and why the next faction, the revolutionaries, exist. The revolutionaries are a group of brave, morally strong people who want to abolish the government in what we can assume through the removal of the world nobles and their secrets to be held public. This group are led by Monkey D. Dragon, another of the monkey family, son to Garp and father to Luffy. How outlandish is his family? Dragon is adhered as being the most wanted man in the world, with a bounty probably higher than the Yonkos, and possibly even the late Gold Roger. This means he is considered a threat to be handled more than even the pirates. Within all factions I've went over, the revolutionaries are the only group that aren't corrupt and evil because they simply exist for the change of a better world, under democracy presumably. We don't know much about the revolutionary army except that they are not complicated nor shallow, meaning what we see is face value truth. They have the least amount of screen time, to which I believe is they are an endgame plotline to be used for One Piece's main theme of freedom. With these groups allowing us to see a political side to the world, we also have many species to go over, and their traditions and beliefs. With this, I will go over the most discriminated species, the Fisherman. The Fisherman species are introduced to us as villains to begin with, having their physiology deemed as 10 times stronger than an average human, with the capabilities of surviving underwater. Our protagonists encounter them as a pirate crew. We learn through small details that they hate humans, but they mostly didn't seem too terrible, except their captain Arlong, who seemed to hold such a strong hatred, a grudge that he had to torment humanity. Albeit, he had held a small amount of respect for a human named Nami, she had special skills for navigation and cartography, which Arlong found very useful. This same Nami ends up joining Luffy and his crew. But to move on, their debut didn't let us see them as anything other than villains, which was never the case for their species. From chapter 496 and episode 394, we experience the distraught and discrimination they go through simply for being fishmen, when in reality they are a very rich species with an amazing culture within their birthplace of Fishman Island, located under the Red Line, under Marijoa. They have royalty that they respect a lot, who treat their civilians rightly. Many of them want peace to coexist between humanity and them. However, a majority believe this to be impossible and didn't want to be near those who treat them so wrongly. Many branded from being slaves, branded with the dragon hoof of the celestial dragons. They also have their own beliefs for the poneglyphs, which are stones scattered across the world that contain ancient texts that only few can read. The fishmen believe that there is a person yet to appear called Joy Boy, who in turn has a requirement for the great ship Noah, that the fishmen protect with their lives, scared of the thought of causing it any damage for the day Joy Boy returns. Within their traditions are their style of fighting, being Fishman Karate and Fishman Jujutsu. Fishman Karate is a martial art pertaining to skilled members of the race, using mastery of water in the user's vicinity, being able to produce strong waves that affect the opposing individual's water within their body, causing grievous damage. Fishman's Jujutsu is another form of martial arts, in its essence, the underwater variant of Fishman Karate, manipulating the water around them as if it were a dancing ribbon, gallivanting around them smoothly. They also tend to be based after species of fish such as clownfish, whale sharks, or other aquatic creatures like octopi. As for the other species of One Piece, we have giants, which are very honourful and huge beings, who fight each other bravely for the sake of honour. Their general aesthetic seems to be based on Norse legends, using axes and shields, wearing very similar clothes to that of Vikings. The Tontata tribe, or better known as Dwarfs, are the opposing side of giants. They are very small yet hold immense strength, enough to easily throw a regular human into a wall unconscious. They are a very innocent race that believe whatever is said to them, which usually ends with them being tricked in slavery and accepting it as a normal thing due to the lies they were told. They are very exceptional in the art of botany, being able to create such a thing as artificial devil fruits, with better finesse than most humans. They are also born with a brush-like tail that they use in conjunction with combat. There are a species of subset humans known as LongArm Tribe, which fall under long arm or long leg, and through selective breeding, the long limb humans. These individuals will have much longer limbs, as such with the long arms where they have two joints opposed to one joint, whereas long legs just have very long legs, with tattoos on them to show how proud they are of them, and the LongArm Tribe follow a Chinese aesthetic. The Mink Tribe are those that maintain an animal theme, humanoid animal-like individuals that live on top of a very large elephant known as Zo. They are very intimate and have a tradition known as Garchu, which is to rub against each other, much like animals, declaring Garchu. It is a tradition of saying hello or thanks, which to outsiders may seem weird, annoying, or even rude. They are known to wield combat abilities from a young age, being a very strong race, utilizing their race-exclusive ability of electricity-based power with enough practice can be used in conjunction with weapons. Their other physiology-based ability is a transformative one that happens once they look directly into the moon. Transforming into a feral form unless trained properly, it is considered the true form of the minx. This form being called Sulong, which changes the user's body into a vastly different appearance, their hair growing longer and being in a white colour. In this state, they become volume stronger and their electron increase to immeasurable levels. Being in this state for too long will result in great fatigue and even death. There are many more or less exponential species like the Free-Eye tribe, which are said to be able to have an innate ability to hear the voice of all things, an ability that has been hinted at throughout the series. It is very mysterious, however, allowing individuals to be able to read poneglyphs. There are the Snake Neck tribe, which are very much like the long limbs, have very long neck. Not much else to talk about them with them though, as there's very few that are introduced. There also exists hybrids out there, such as a Wotan, being a giant fishman hybrid, being as large as a giant with the abilities of a fishman. To finish off the section of races, I will talk about the Shandians and Birkins alongside their place of origin. who are very much like humans, except they possess these wings on their backs that determine what type of species they belong to. Shandians have wings that face upwards, whereas Birkins have wings that face downwards. In the arc we are introduced to them, we see that they are at war. Shandians are very proud and are at war with the Birkins due to them being intruders of the sky island they reside in. This is because of their original island being in the ocean until one day a large chunk of it was blown into the sky, latching onto the sky island. The Birkins are supposedly from the moon, yet find themselves residing on Skypiea, the name of the sky island. Yet both races are at war, declaring they belong rightfully. Some rare individuals of both species find they possess a born ability to sense things. They call this mantra. To elaborate on sky islands, they're islands that find themselves to be stationary in the sky via the unusually thick cloud that some can swim in. Many of these islands will have their culture involve tools known as dials that have varying effects, such as heat, cold, audio recording, and more combat-based dials that can store an impact and release it back to wherever the user points. An even more dangerous version of this being a reject dial, where it stores the impact but sends it 10 times the force, which usually ends with the user breaking or hurting their arm. With the races done, I can move on to the final section of the video. Particularly my favourite aspect of One Piece, aside from the world building, is the foreshadowing that occurs from cunning planning from Oda himself. I will go over a majority of the important foreshadowing that happens in the story, being an ability named Haki, a seemingly mysterious ability that only becomes relevant and known when a character named Rayleigh shows our protagonist Luffy how to use it, which takes 597 chapters or 516 episodes to get to that point. Haki is first hinted at in Chapter 1 or Episode 4, with multiple hints afterwards, such as when Zoro, another main protagonist, senses his sword underneath a rock back in Chapter 195 or Episode 119, which is indicative of observation Haki, or how the Birkins and Shandians named it, Mantra, which is the ability to sense things as well as people and develop prediction powers. In Chapter 431 and Episode 314, we see our protagonist's grandfather, Garp, meet with Luffy for the first time in the series, only to have Garp hit him and cause him immense pain. Everyone around him took note that Luffy is a rubber man, so how was blunt trauma able to hurt him? Which is also indicative of armament haki, and its use of being able to hit those with Devil Fruit abilities, especially those that are able to change their body into something malleable, gaseous, or liquids, or in this case, rubber. In Chapter 434, on Episode 316, we see that a character named Shanks has the ability to knock people with a weak will unconscious, and that he does so with ease. This ability was seen back in Chapter 1 and Episode 4, which has him scaring off an animal with a mere steer, to which Luffy does as well hundreds of chapters later. This type of haki is known as Conquerors, and allows those with the King's will to knock weak-willed people unconscious and make animals subservient. With these moments spread out amongst the manga and anime, many of which I have left for the viewers to figure out, also partly because there is so much to talk about that I haven't mentioned about in what is a general video about the world of One Piece. However, I should finish this video by saying how wondrous and well thought out One Piece is a neatly fabricated world that is fleshed out by its rich locations and cultures alongside its many political meanings and secrets. Where even now when I read a chapter, I fully expect something to come out of it with reference to the future. And once the series is finished, we'll have our masterpiece to look back on with pride for chugging through many hours and weeks of reading or watching, because it is much like one of the series' main themes, the journey through it. Thank you for watching. This was KaidBoi Babbles.